I'm old now. It sucks. I spend my days walking the hallways, feeling lost, afraid, and most importantly, out of touch. While the kids these days are talking about their Fortnites and their TikTok dances and their having Riz, I'm stuck working that tedious 9 to 5. Back in my day, the only fortnight we had was the 2 weeks of Christmas holiday. The only TikTok was the sound of our analog clocks, and Riz... Anyway, I'm reliving my childhood with classic PS2 games. Way back in the year 2000, the greatest video game console descended from on high and graced us with its unmatched majesty, the PlayStation 2. The prime time of video games that shaped the world and made everyone aware that nothing will ever be better than this. Ever. But this golden age was filled with too many great games. How could you possibly play them all? How could you know what was good? The internet barely existed. It definitely wasn't the cesspit it is now. You think Neopets is going to tell you the hottest release news? No, it's going to tell you the wonders of Scientology. Thankfully, the PlayStation 2 in Europe came bundled with a demo disc, showing the greatness that awaited, like a prophetic vision from on high. This came with demos of games that we all will remember. Klonoa 2, Airblade, This is Football 2020, and one RPG that absolutely absorbed me. Dark Cloud is an RPG from new studio Level 5, in conjunction with Sony Computer Entertainment. This is important for later. It was an RPG involving all sorts of systems about hunting through dungeons, building a town, a grand adventure, and this demo disc gripped me and made me hunger for it. Then I didn't actually play the game. It was released a whole year after this demo disc would have graced my eyeballs, and when you're 8 years old, freshly mourning the loss of card captors from UK television in this horrifying post-9/11 world, your memory is fuzzy at best, steadily filling with the names of every Pokemon. So you've got Electrode, Diglett, Rattata, Mankey, Venusaur, Nidoran. So, decades later, why not take a look? Reclaim that lost childhood. Dark Cloud opens like other great games of its time. A musical dance number. So good that even Final Fantasy X-2 copied it later. After a rather extensive dance routine, including the mandatory one sexy character for some reason, the Dark Genie is summoned, a mysterious ancient force of evil that can only be used for evil and power. After one final snack, that is. He's dead! That guy's just f***ing dead! I'm only a few minutes into the game, and I've just watched a man be literally eaten alive. We cut to our protagonist, Tone, in No Rune Village, where, well, everyone is having a dance. Yes, there is yet another extensive dance sequence, but wait, what's that in the sky? It's the Dark Genie! Everyone's dead! They're all fucking dead! It's only been a few minutes into this game and I've already watched everyone just get absolutely destroyed! Except, surprise, you didn't die! In what many would call good news, you're still alive and just have to live with the horrors of everyone you know and love having been obliterated by an evil purple genie firing lasers from his arse. Tone, why are you smiling so much? You've just witnessed horrors like no other. Thankfully, you're in luck though. A strange old man calling himself the King of Fairies managed to save everyone. Yes, amongst all the screams and flames and destruction, they were removed from reality moments before they were evaporated from this world, including their house, which, as an adult, I now understand is very important. Life advice. Having somewhere to live is good. And this is how everything starts. An endless series of musical numbers peppered with devastation, destruction, and death. My ideal Friday. But with the brief glimmer of hope nestled in our bodies, we're set out to rebuild the world. And also kill the dark genie or something. That brief glimmer of hope nestled within our bodies is actually the ability to summon buildings from its pocket dimension. It's pretty nifty. You're informed that through the power of your Atlamalia, you can access the Georama menu. Tone, come on, really? Anyway, on your quest, you'll find a variety of seeds containing all sorts of useful items, like roads, houses, a fence, and even real people. Over time, you'll combine all of these together to restore the land to what it once was. Wow! The cool thing here is that this town building has a delightful puzzle element as well, slotting in whatever warehouse or pet or llama they require to complete them, all of which are unlocked naturally as you progress an area, but you can go deeper. Each resident has a preference to how they wish to live. They may want to be near someone who can cook well, or far away from the bodybuilders, or next to a pond to do fishing. Everyone has a request that you learn about by talking to them, and you then get to try and slot all of this together. It's genuinely quite interesting as you slide everyone around. You'll think you've got everything all worked out, and then your own mother cryptically says she wants the sun to rise in her bedroom window. So you need to rotate and shift around her house, and then obviously you need to move this in tandem, and then this one needs to move, and crumbs. It's all going wrong. This is technically optional. As I've said, you mainly need to just plug the correct items in the correct hole, like the world's strangest wooden block toy. The llama goes in the llama hole.
Yeah.
But there's a certain joy that comes from making your town an actual town. Wait a second. Town? The way each area has its own layout and puzzle means they all feel a little unique. Whether you're working out the winding river of one village, wrangling gangsters and law enforcement in another, or just placing houses to face their respective totem pole chunk, hunkering down and unlocking your inner civil engineer feels quite satisfying. But wait, didn't I say that this was an RPG? I say... Yes, city building is cool and all, and believe me, I know what cool looks like. But yes, this is an RPG. You're not just playing the role of a town planner, you've also got a sword. While an old man can remove your loved ones from reality, hiding them in a pocket dimension of pure nothingness, he can't just reproduce them easily. No! You need to go delving through the nearby cave to extract those memories. And boy, are you going to be delving some nearby caves. If you've existed for longer than a day in the 21st century, you'll understand that in every game, you need to have an excuse to hit baddies with something sharp. And I'm going to say that Dark Cloud was at the forefront of this, by virtue of being released early in the century, not because it's particularly good. run through procedurally generated dungeons, knocking about rats, skeletons, and everything between and beyond with your sword. If you get absolutely bowled over by some terrible Geodude imitator, then you can stuff your face with bread to heal, because that's how health works. Just keep eating bread. Just keep doing it. Eat the bread. Just keep eating the bread. It's good for you. Just eat the bread. Eat the bread.
My stomach.
Your only other resource, in a rather daring decision of brutal realism, is hydration. As you run through the dungeons, your thirst slowly ticks away before running out completely, requiring a quick swig of water to quench that thirst. Or you start slowly dying. This feels particularly targeted for me, as I think my daily intake of fluids is limited to milk from my cereal, 1 glass of Dr. Pepper and its 28 unique flavours, and whatever moisture can be mustered from my daily dose of pasta. It's about as much water as mass of dry pasta. I know, I've checked. Yet, despite this, I seem to be doing fine. Better than fine, even. I'm only in pain most of the time. But I don't think I've ever actually felt thirst before. Wait, am I slowly just losing hit points this entire time? Oh god, I need to go eat some bread. You potter about and prepare to strike your foes with the same 3-hit combo. Except, nothing quite works out. It's like punching in a dream, except if that dream were actually a video game. Routinely, you'll find yourself swinging helplessly in front of your foe, as you have to be stood firmly in the mouth of the beast to even begin to make contact with the sharp edge of your blade. It's frustrating. Mixed with fighting an unruly camera, bosses can become a constant struggle, as hitboxes work against you as much as possible. As well as delayed after effects of attacks, providing the thinnest of windows to actually do anything. But fret not, we're not on this quest alone. There's a whole party of characters for you to recruit and take along with you. Oh, how I wish there wasn't, though. Whether it's the small, annoying forest boy and his hammer, the oddly sexy magic lady who lives in a crystal, or quite literally a cat that you transform into a small cat girl through the power of a magic potion.
Don't get any ideas.
These characters are ready to help in whatever way they can. The issue being, they really can't. Each party member has a unique weapon to them, and that's fun. However, if you're not Tone, your weapon is very limited to just the 1 strike animation. No 3-hit combo for you. So I hope you're ready to hear over and over and over again as you find yourself locked in the hell of a cat girl only floor. Oh, this is hell. Each character also allows for a unique ability while dungeon exploring. The cat girl can jump over pits, the boy can hit switches with his hammer, and the warrior going through an existential crisis can fan away lingering clouds of darkness by twirling his staff. Yeah, okay, he's the only one that can do that, I guess. The issue is that other than these small problems, you're probably never going to use them, as they prove infinitely more cumbersome than the already cumbersome Tone. You're just asking to be bowled over by a particularly ruthless mole. It's a shame that these characters exist almost solely to bypass one particular obstacle, and then in their respective area's final boss, only to be never seen again, lost to the fog of your brain that is still trying to remember all those Pokemon. Kabuto, Persian, Paris, Halsey, Raticate, Magnemite, Kadabra, Weeping Bell, Ditto, Cloyster, Caterpie, Sandshrew, Bulbasaur, Charmander, Golem, Pikachu! At least 150 or more to see. To be a Pokemon master is my destiny. One of the biggest issues with this is that you have limited engagement in one of the greatest systems in this game. The weapon advancement system. Yes, that sounds lame, but hear me out. The weapons in Dark Cloud are cool. You may have a simple sword for slicing and dicing, but the more it dices and the more it slices, the more it levels up. As you level it up, the weapon's stats also increase, which seems pretty simple, except you also control what levels up. Putting modifiers for increased attack, or giving it more fire, your weapons slowly become a custom build of death. You're also working towards specific upgrade goals, as once you get enough of the right stats, the weapon can upgrade into something bigger and stronger. But at the same time, the weapons still feel uniquely you, their odd stat additions and all. There are loads of weapons for each person, and they each have this incredibly involved, branching tree of upgrades. It feels great and engaging, and entirely annoying that you really only care about tone. One of the biggest issues is that your weapons have durability. And unfortunately, when that runs down, your weapon breaks. For good. Just fully snapped in half and destroyed. There is a very real risk of your attention slipping for one moment as you traipse through floor after floor of repetitive dungeoning, and whoops, goodbye the weapon you've been working on the entire game. Hello, new and profound sense of sadness. This works in Zelda because your weapons are disposable by design. You're not going through several stages of tactical upgrades to then have it explode in your hand like it's made of glass. While the starting weapons for each character can't actually be upgraded, they can also never fully break, as they're meant as a final backup. So you always have a weapon, even in moments of true despair, such as finding yourself on a limited character map with no weapons, and more importantly, no weapon repair. Oh God, make it stop! If the opening involving the complete end of the world and ruthless destruction that wiped the planet clean of nearly all life isn't giving it away, Dark Cloud has a surprisingly dark tone of storytelling. Yes, it is goofy as all heck, with the main villain being a cigar-smoking clown of an evil genie. No, really. However, each chapter or its story handles something almost heartbreaking at each stage. Sure, everyone Tone knows died in front of his eyes, but he seemed pretty fine about it. Where things escalate are the further areas, and where you deal with a boy isolated in his grief after his father, weakened by illness, chose to die a warrior's death, then passed on the spirit of the warrior to his sad son, who wanted nothing more than to understand why he'd been abandoned. All he wanted was just for his father to love him and to hold him. It could be an ancient ice witch, trapped at the bottom of the sea, waiting for her immortal lover to rejoin her once more, a promise they had made so long ago. She's driven mad by the weight, the feeling of loss that this promise proved hollow and empty. Only for the two to finally reunite and give up on their immortality to pass on together, having once more been reunited. The strongest warrior in the village struggles to come to terms with the fact he was unable to protect everyone, racked by survivor's guilt after the genie destroyed everything he knew and loved, left in a desert, unable to move on, and just questioning what his duty means if he was not able to protect those closest to him. And then you build a giant fighting robot on the moon. Yes, okay, the story is wonky and it is filled with all sorts of silly and strange characters like the fortune teller who gives you visions of the world by shoving your head up her bum. Okay, yeah, that is very odd and quite strange. But for a game that came out in the year 2000, it gives its characters and chapters scenes that hit surprisingly hard. Even if it does sadly decide to forget about anyone the moment you step away from that particular area. Finally, as you approach the end of the game, you learn how this darkness came about, rising from the hatred of a king at war, craving for the power to save his people, only to have the one thing he cared for most, the thing he was fighting for, die in his arms. You rebuild the events of the past as you deep dive to the origin of everything, and finally put an end to the cycle of hatred. I'm sorry, what? That's how this ends? Dark Cloud has not aged well. To be fair, I don't think it came out particularly well either. The town building in this RPG is honestly great, and alongside the weapon development provides a constant hook to continue working through the dungeons, even if they are a little tedious and filled with, quite frankly, terrible and clunky combat. Its story is limited at times, often resulting in oddly emotionless scenes, punctuated by otherwise quite heavy moments of grief and hurt. The wacky and strange scenes that fill this game provide little more than whiplash through an otherwise serious experience. It's a fun game, but 23 years later, it's not exactly stood the test of time, and needs to be thrown out of a window. Speaking of time, however, after 2 years, a whole Final Fantasy X later, Level 5 cooked up something new, something more impressive, something that takes the idea of Dark Cloud and makes it bigger and better. Dark Chronicle is the sequel to Dark Cloud. In America, it's even known as Dark Cloud 2 because I guess the word Chronicle was too complicated for them. This is actually my original copy that I had as a young warthog. This is back when boxes actually had to tell you what the game was because you could actually go into store and pick something up without it being premeditated. Over 100 hours of gameplay? Wow! I can't imagine that'll bite me in the arse later. Dark Chronicle opens with a girl running through a castle, chopping down soldiers, only to find that she's too late and ends up seeing her dead father.
So much has happened that I don't know where to start. Well, I guess it's easiest to start at the beginning.
Wow, look at that voice acting. This is already a great step up, and the main character is voiced by the same person that went on to voice Robin in Teen Titans.
Oh, I'm soaked! Titans, go!
In 2003, this was a big deal. We're off to the circus and are treated to a lengthy array of incredible acrobatics, including Sexy Lady. Some habits die hard, I guess. Fun fact, this elephant actually pulls off a flawless sphere shot from Final Fantasy X, proving it is in fact a better blitzball player than the average Tidus, and also Walker. But as we all know, clowns are actually evil, and we see scenes of abuse made all the more real by the mayor's voiced pathetic snivelling. Suddenly, Max finds himself in an altercation and has to defend himself by bludgeoning people to death with his trusty wrench. Somehow, this opening is more intense than Dark Clouds. Sure, everyone died repeatedly, but the voice acting and the clowns hunting you down with actual knives somehow makes this so much more threatening. It may also have something to do with the giant murder robot that starts hunting you through the streets, hungry for your blood.
Well, if it's going to be that way, then die!
Yeah, I think it's that. Thankfully, Max is able to escape down the sewers, where he's promptly handed a gun and pointed in the direction of more clowns to continue your slaughter.
Voila!
Do it. Kill me.
It should be said that the combat of Dark Chronicle is infinitely better than that of the first game. They are essentially the same, running around and hitting people over the head with whatever weapon you've got your greasy fingers wrapped around. But notably, this time it actually works. The moving, the locking on, and the general feel for everything is so much more logical and tight. You're no longer swinging at the air, hoping for something to happen. You're now stoving in the skull of a man purely because he wore clown makeup with ruthless efficiency, and then happily switching to your offhand to put their friends down with your gun, which you have as a child. And now, even blocking actually does something. Everything just feels better to use. And that variety between range and melee means you're no longer just swinging at a bat, hoping that you might get lucky. Heck, even the bosses are more engaging now. No longer as simple as hitting them with that chapter's character and then hitting them with a sword. You now have all sorts of ways to kill an angry clown. But don't be deceived by the bright colours and dead clowns. This game swings wildly at times into pure carnage. It's funny because just roll the VT.
Not him again! Ah, it's like he's stuck to my boot!
Yes, Flotsam, much like I assume with all clowns, just won't stay down, no matter how many robots you destroy. One moment he's being comically carted away on a stretcher, the next he's riding on a machine gun, mounted on the back of an armed buggy. Like, literally, it has arms. And if that isn't enough, he decides to go with one final attack. Explosive death. But wait, who's that?
Let's go, punk! It's time to burn! Huh?
Yes, there is a second protagonist in this game, and Monica's true entrance involves absolutely destroying a clown.
So that was how I met Monica.
I feel the need to remind you that these are children. Well, teenagers, but still children. At this point, they've got a higher body count than I do. That's not what that means. What do you mean that's not what that means? Monica is rad, as unlike Max, she doesn't have a simple 3-hit combo that goes ha, ha, ha! And instead, she spins and slices her sword and then blasts people with her magic. The magic is a bit, but the swords are cool. The weapon upgrade system remains a delight in Dark Chronicle, but also improved and streamlined. Each time your weapon levels up, you now get upgrade points which you can choose to divvy up however you like. Except you can only really do this by using items to gain stats. Which items? Literally any item at all. Except you'd probably specifically use these crystals. There is something quite funny about being able to use literally anything to boost these stats. Sure, you could use orbs of elemental power to boost your weapons, but if you're but a few small lightning points away from evolving your weapon and you've got no lightning crystals, well, why don't you just shove some sugar on that hammer? Sweet justice. But I know what you're thinking. How do we defeat an elephant?
What the?
You're just a small boy with a gun, but killing rats and frogs and clowns in the sewers is simple. But you're also pitted against big, stomping robots and an elephant that is a better blitzball player than the entire Besaid Aurochs. That hammer and gun isn't quite going to cut it. Or, I guess, smash it.
I named it Steve.
If giving a child a gun seemed a little extreme to you, don't worry, because now you've been given a giant fighting machine, and it is cool as heck. His name's Steve.
I named it Steve.
Exactly. The Ridepod provides big hits for big enemies, and you're expected to swap between your characters and robots depending on the enemy to tackle problems in the most natural way possible. It's great. The Ridepod also provides a fun introduction for an interesting mechanic, in that Max is an inventor. He tinkers and creates all sorts of things, including fighting murder robots. You run around and use your camera to take photos of anything from lampposts to trees, from the actual sun to this police officer's actual belt. Each photo of a thing gives Max the idea of the concept, like the concept of grass. And then you can combine 3 of these ideas together to come up with a new invention. And sometimes these make sense.
Now here's some hints on making an energy pack for Steve. A milk can, pipes, and a belt.
Yeah, that makes sense. You come across these inventions through a variety of ways, whether they're written down like the weirdest note to self.
I must remember coal, candle, egg.
Or more realistically by looking them up online, because obviously why wouldn't you? The key thing here is that the Ridepod doesn't have weapons that evolve, because I guess it doesn't have a soul? Instead, its weapons and upgrades all come through Max inventing all manner of death and destruction, like his world's Oppenheimer. But what about Monica? Sure, Max has his giant robot, but does Monica have an alternative form? Ah, Christ. It's really bad. No, right, so Monica can transform into monsters, but only once she's unlocked a specific badge, which you acquire through a variety of ideas, such as giving monsters a gift of some items before ruthlessly killing them. Do these monster transformations also fit uniquely into this fun dynamic of robots slicing, smashing, and range attacks? No, they're awful. They are routinely weak and take a lot of work to level up and evolve into more powerful monsters, but still remain ultimately weak. In theory, you can use them to talk to monsters while going through the dungeons, but that serves no purpose, so it's best to just throw them in the bin, unless you're foolish enough to try and go for all the medals and actually go through the maps that challenge you to just use the monster transformation seriously. But no one would be that foolish, right? Right? The Georama is thankfully back, and in a consistent theme for this, it is also just better. Sort of. On your quest, you come across the Forest of Sindane, in which Monica immediately enacts race crimes on the local Furbits.
It's so cute, all curly and everything.
Hey! Hey!
She's trying to learn and change. The main thing is that they also come with a giant flying robot that plants trees.
Wow! Whoa!
I can't believe it!
I should probably mention that this is a story about rebuilding the future to unlock the mystery about Emperor Griffin. The present day is one where the world beyond the walls of Palm Brinks has been emptied out, decimated by this mysterious figure. So, Max and Monica are trying to get to the bottom of this, but their present day is woefully under-equipped to tackle him.
Monica came from the future.
But the future? Well, there may be powerful individuals just waiting to help.
That's right. In my time, there's a legendary chef named Lao Chow. They say if you eat his miracle dish, it'll cure any kind of sickness on the spot.
If they weren't dead before they were born. Much like Back to the Future's Marty McFly, if his parents don't bang, he won't exist. By which I mean if the foundations for a temple aren't placed, that temple won't exist in 100 years.
Look at that!
That's where the big tree robot comes in. Much like me, it's a robot powered by eating eggs. Specifically, these glowing eggs found through the dungeons, which contain all sorts of recipes for trees and houses and fences, but also information on what needs to be built and how. Unlike in Dark Cloud, you're given a lot more freedom over what you can build and how you can populate your village. You're no longer just building the exact same houses with the exact same accoutrement. And instead, if you want to put a chimney on a house, you can. If you want to put 4 chimneys on a house, well, you can. But you probably shouldn't. It's really fun as it makes your village a little more unique to yourself. Yes, you're trying to hit the exact same checkpoints, but how you lay that out can be a little more personal. Sort of. You'll be seeing which ingredients you need, then go running off to the train to buy them from an angry old man, before running all the way back and realizing your poor attention span brain made you get the wrong type of essence. So you run all the way back and forth just so you can build a nose for a tree? That said, the town building almost felt more limited in scope. The criteria are laid out pretty clearly, but there's all of this space to stretch your creative muscles. Except you don't really need to, and probably won't. The towns in the present day are just components that build the future, and they don't really get used that much beyond the building of them. You lock people in their homes on an isolated platform where they're trapped for all eternity, with no one to interact with other than Ferdinand and his meat stand. While each area presents another fun puzzle, getting platforms to have the same rough weight, or building on wooden platforms across the sea, or even being limited to non-wooden buildings due to all of the fire. It doesn't quite feel like you're building a town of your own. There are no roads, there's no connection. It is, however, cool when you place someone down in the present who sells weapons, and then in the future, well, there's now a fancy new cool weapon shop for you to deal with. I know what you're thinking. Isn't this a game all about killing clowns? Well, no, that's actually a very small part of it. As I mentioned previously, the story is about Max and Monica using their time-travelling Aplamalia to pop back and forth in time in order to slowly work out and defeat the mysterious Emperor Griffin. And you'll come across all manner of familiar faces from the first game. This weird ape man, the talking tree, and even Osmond. It's neat.
Hey, you're back.
Master Utan, you're looking a lot better now.
Sure. I just ate something I wasn't supposed to, after all.
I'm gonna be more careful from now on.
Once more, we find ourselves going chapter by chapter through the world, and once more, we're treated to an increasing number of oddly heartbreaking stories.
Chapter 1. To the Outside World.
This whole thing is presented as a letter from Max to his long-lost mother.
Could it be the Holly that the Furbits talked about was actually you, Mother? Just thinking that made my heart beat faster. This was the other reason that I wanted to see the world, so that I could find you again, Mother. Even though the world had been laid waste, I had a feeling that you were out there. Somewhere.
Which is oddly bleak, and there's just so many sad moments that punch you in the guts. The Furbits all sit around a table and cry as they deal with their friend passing on. There's a story about a girl having to relive her trauma, about how her master died tragically before her eyes defending her. The sad tale of a boy and his close friend who happens to be a giant sea dragon. It's just so good.
Go on. Off you go.
With each villain, there's a sense of redemption or remorse as their horrible actions are laid bare to them. Except the clowns, who deserve what they get. Dr. Jamming realizes he's dealing with compassionate and intelligent creatures. Gaspard realizes how he was driven so much by his own hate and how fruitless it all was in the face of children.
Could you show me where your journey will take you? I'd like to see it too. The end of my own journey. Farewell.
Who literally really just want him dead.
I had a mother too, just like everyone else.
Ha!
Monica!
So you hate me too, eh?
Also, one of the characters is a duck.
You see more of it these days. But we still don't know what causes it. There's absolutely nothing we can do.
There's not really much to say about Dr. Dell. He's just literally a duck. We've had bunny people from the moon, we've got Furbits, and we've got humans. Heck, we even have talking owls. But the Duckman, sure, no questions asked. This is to say that while there's plenty of death and sadness and clowns to kill, there's still wild moments of strange humour that you'd come to expect at this point. Like the weird fish man.
Oh yes, more victims of my beauty. Really, beauty can be a curse, you know.
Which brings us to what I would consider the best and worst part of Dark Chronicle. The side activities. There's fishing in this game. That's how you catch this large friend. It's kind of fun. Not only can you catch fish for your own pleasure, or for the various fishing contests where you either weigh them in or race them in the weirdest horse race going, there's even a horsefish. But you've also got levels of the dungeon with water just waiting to be fished up, and you'll get yourself a shiny medal for the effort. As far as fishing minigames go, it's genuinely fun. Much like your weapons, your fishing rod can also level up and develop, and it means bigger fish and better fishing, and just a good time. Until you've spent far too long sat in a dungeon trying to catch something big enough, or spend hours of your life looking at a fish tank trying to feed them enough bait to win a race. But fishing mini-games are pretty standard in video games. Okami had it, Zelda had it, Final Fantasy 15 had it. You can't move for the fishing. But if there's one thing that every RPG has been missing since the dawn of games, and has never been replicated since Dark Chronicle, it's killing clowns. It's golf. There's golf in this game. For some reason, the mad lads at level 5 thought it would be great to include a randomized golf challenge on each and every floor in their dungeons. And let me tell you, it's awful. It's just golf. You're trying to hit your glowing orb into the glowing portal. However, there are some complications. Each dungeon map is random, and also not laid out like a golf course. There are ravines for your ball to fall down if it bounces weirdly. Every wall is made out of the wildest angles you can imagine, so it's going to be bouncing weirdly. And also, there's just actual lava. Your ball will bounce in all sorts of directions, and it becomes a lesson of futility as you play one level over and over and over again, hoping for things to finally go your way. Oh, okay, that was a sick shot. But it's fine, because you don't really need to do all of them. Sure, you get a medal for sealing that portal, but they're not vital for anything. Only an idiot would decide to complete everything like that. It's a great game, infinitely better than its predecessor, while pulling on some of the same ideas from the first. The final dungeon involves rebuilding the memory of the past that caused this great evil to arise, just like the first. The various characters and designs that we emerge, it's just good. I would highly recommend playing it. Sure, the box says over 100 hours, but my playthrough only took like 55 hours? Give it a go! I don't know what they were even talking about. Much like Max has the red Atlamalia to go into the future, I have the blue Atlamalia to look into the past and once more experience this game and how it imprinted on me with this great RPG that fused dungeon crawling, good RPG menus, and city building. It's honestly great, and it's wild that nothing like it has been done since. Which brings me to my next point. Level 5 on the back of Dark Chronicle were entrusted with making the next Dragon Quest game. Dragon Quest VIII, which is also considered one of the greatest Dragon Quest games because they just simply don't miss and make exceptional RPGs. But I know what you're thinking. Where's Dark Cloud 3? On the back of making the best Dragon Quest game ever made, they proceeded to make Rogue Galaxy, another game that I absolutely love, and decided to platinum because all I know is pain. It's a spacefaring RPG that's more or less Star Wars, because that was the popular thing to do at the time. Just make Star Wars again. There's evidence to suggest that this was originally penned as Dark Cloud 3, but obviously at some point it became its own thing and Dark Cloud 3 remained unmade. Since then, Level 5 have released several games, and yet not one of them was Dark Cloud 3. If you love football RPGs, then there's enough Inazuma 11 games that I'm sure you'll be cured of whatever dark element resides within you. That was a fun reference to the evil energy that causes all the baddies to go evil in these two games. Professor Layton? Yeah, great to see some British representation, but it's not making a city fueled by my puzzle-making powers, is it? Level 5 briefly stepped into the traditional RPG scene once more when they teamed up with Studio Ghibli to make Ni no Kuni, and then again when they made Ni no Kuni 2. The latter had a town-building mechanic. I apparently spoke highly of it in my review. However, watching this has also caused me severe psychic damage, so I will never know the particulars. The point is, Level 5 haven't stepped into these expectant shoes and seem to be happy with making Yokai Watch and other multimedia games that do exclusively only well in Japan. In 2018, the CEO of Level 5, Akihiro Hino, did an interview with Polygon in which he expressed his desire to make a new Dark Cloud game as well. But the rights are co-owned by Sony, so it's not entirely up to Level 5. It should also be pointed out that just recently, Sony talked about the PlayStation 5 entering its twilight years after releasing absolutely zero games on it for the last 4 or 5 years, despite having comfortably won the console wars, with Xbox lying on the ground like so much dead clown. A lot of people suspect that this is due to the fall-off of smaller but still exclusive games, when every release is a massively expensive Goliath of a game made by your prestige studios. Your release schedule slows down. If Sony wanted to, they could make smaller games using a variety of their IPs, like Ape Escape or Dark Cloud. In this new age of newfound nostalgia with the re-releases and remasters and remakes filling the land, it would be very easy for Sony to turn around and announce Dark Cloud 3 and absolutely remove every coin from my pocket. I mean, it's not a lot, but they'll get it all. Even with the hints of negotiations between Sony and Level 5, it's been almost 4 years since that interview, and there's still nothing to show for it. I fear the dream may be dead. So that's Dark Cloud and Dark Chronicle, two formative RPGs that launched a studio into the big leagues and created something unique in a genre slow to change. So slow to change that it's still pretty much exactly still where it was before these games came out. Oh no! I wanted to make this video because I love these games and had been wanting to play them again for years now, and figured this nostalgic look back would be a great excuse to do so. It's almost over now. All that's left for me to do is get every medal there is and get the Platinum Trophy to finally lay this dream to rest.
Ready for this? Prepare yourselves!
Oh, hello there. Thank you for watching my video. Would you believe that? Yes, 1. I'm wearing clown makeup again. 2. It's a heat wave, as is tradition for when I decide to ever film. It's always like the hottest day of the year, and I'm wearing a blanket with sleeves. Anyway, fun fact, today is apparently the first day, as I'm recording, of International Clown Week. Purely a coincidence, I swear. This isn't me announcing my newfound passion for clownery. Anyway, thank you for watching my video. It was a bit of a long, fun one, which I've been wanting to do for a while. Fun fact, again, another fun fact, so many. I recorded this video in its entirety back in February, when I wrote this video. And then, fun fact, everything corrupted. Well, all the audio went missing and I had to put everything on the back burner for ages and redo the entire thing, which is what we're doing now. Hooray! God, I'm dying. Anyway, if you have any thoughts or memories of Dark Cloud 2, Dark Chronicle, or even want to see that fated, fabled, mysterious Dark Cloud 3, let me know in the comments. Just let me know things, because I feel like sometimes I'm going insane. I don't know why I think that. Otherwise, you can check out some of my other videos. Up here, there is a fun video about the Latro, which involves me dressing up as a clown again. I don't know why. And down here we have another video, which I believe is a board game review, all about Robot Quest Arena. A really fun board game deck builder with cute little miniature robots. It's really fun. And the video, I think, is quite fun as well. Otherwise, you can click on my face, my clown face, to subscribe. Thank you and goodbye.